Lesson 12, we're going to be subtracting fractions greater than or equal to 1. So let's take a look at 1a here. Our only direction is to subtract. Now, of course, we know we have to come up with a common denominator or equivalent fraction so that we can subtract this here. We have 3 and 1/4 minus 2 and 1/3. Let's go ahead and find our equivalent fraction. So we have our denominator here, 3/3, and then we're going to multiply it by 4/4. Now remember, when we do this, we're splitting our 1/4 into thirds, which is going to give us 12 total parts. And in here, we're splitting our 1/3 into fourths, which is going to also give us 12 total parts. Now, how many of those parts will be occupied? 1/4 was occupied here, so we're going to multiply that by 3, and that's equal to 3/12. 1/4 is equivalent to 3/12, and then we have 1/3 is equivalent to 4/12. So now we have our dilemma. We have 3/12 minus 4/12. If we have 3/12, we can't take away 4/12, but we can take one whole away. Now we have two wholes, and our one whole that we took away, we're going to rename or decompose as 12/12. So now we have 12/12 plus 3/12. Remember, we took one of our wholes away and turned it into 12, so we can have enough 12s to take away our 4/12. So 12/12 plus 3/12 is equal to 15/12. Then we're going to take away our 4/12, and we say 15 minus 4 is 11. We know that that's equal to 11/12. Two wholes minus two wholes is 0, so 11/12 is our final answer. All right, let's keep going with B here. So we have 3 and 2/3 minus 2 and 3/4. I know that 2/3 is about 66%, whereas 3/4 is 75%. So I know it's going to be similar to our first problem, as will all of these problems. So just be mindful of that. So now I want to multiply my thirds by fourths to make 12s, and I want to multiply my fourths by thirds to make 12s. So now I have 8 12s and 9 12s. Well, I can't take 9 away from 8. So 8 minus 9 I cannot do, so I have to take one whole. Now I'm going to have, instead of 3 holes, I'm taking one whole away, so I have 2 holes. The one whole that I took away is now going to be rewritten or renamed as 1 whole equals 12/12. Anything over itself equals 1. I'm using my unit. Whatever my unit is 12. So that's how I'm renaming my 12. So we know that 12/12 is equal to 1 whole. So now I have 8 12s plus 12 12s. 8 plus 12 is 20 12s minus 9 12s. So a lot of people making mistakes here on the subtraction and just saying 9 where we are, or not subtracting right. So do the subtraction all the way out. I would suggest rewriting it as a separate problem. 0 minus 9 I cannot do. I'm going to regroup or decompose one of my 10s. Now instead of having 2 10s, I have 1 10, and the 1 10 is going to be listed as 10 1s. Now I have 10 1s minus 9 1s is 1 1. 10 1 10 minus 0 10s is 1 10. I know that 20 12ths minus 9 12ths is 11 12ths. And that's my final answer, 11 12ths. And if you notice, it's the same as my previous answer. Let's go ahead and move on to C. 6 and 1/5 minus 4 and 1/4 times what equals what? Times fraction bar equals fraction bar. I know that I have, this is going to be fourths. I need to multiply my fifths by 4 to get my common denominator 20. I need to multiply my fourths times fifths to get my common denominator of 20. 4 times 1, 5 times 1. 4 minus 5 I cannot do, so I'm going to have to regroup 1. That 1 is going to come over as 20 20ths, so now I have 24 20ths minus 5 20ths Go ahead and do the math. 24 minus 5. Cannot do 4 minus 5, so I have to regroup, similar to what we had to do here. We have just regrouping or decomposing, however you want to call it. We're going to take our 1 10 and regroup it as 10 ones. Now 14 minus 5, I know that that's 9. Then I have 1 minus 0, I know that that's 1. I have 19 twentieths. Are we finished? No, we are not. So now I have 5 wholes minus 4 wholes equals 1 whole. So my answer is 1 and 19 twentieths. All right, moving on to D. I have 6 and 3/5 minus 4 and 3/4. Let's go ahead and times fraction bar equals fraction bar, times fraction bar equals fraction bar. I know that my fifths are going to be cut into fourths, and my fourths are going to be cut into fifths. Switching my denominators around and making them equivalent to 1, writing them as a fraction equivalent to 1. All right, so we have 4 times 3 is 12, 5 times 4 is 20, 5 times 3 or 3 times 5 is 15, 4 times 5 is 20, 12 minus 15 I cannot do, so I need to, as you may have said in the past, borrow, or we're going to call it regroup, and this is going to become 5, and then that one that I regrouped is going to become my unit, which is going to be 20 twentieths. We're using our unit form of 20s, but we're going to make it into a whole. So now I have 20 twentieths plus 12 twentieths equals 32 twentieths. 32 twentieths minus 15 twentieths. Well, I know I cannot subtract 2 from 5, so let's write out our subtraction problem. We're going to regroup. 12 minus 5, 7. 2 tens minus 1 10 is 1 10. We have 17. That's going to be our final answer, 17 twentieths. However, we still have 5 wholes minus 4 wholes to give us 1 whole. So our answer is 1 and 17 twentieths. All right, for E, we have 5 and 2 sevenths minus 4 and 1 third. We know that we're going to multiply our denominators to get our common denominator, 21. We have 3/3 here, 7 sevenths here. 2 times 3, 6. 1 times 7 is 7. We know we can't do that math. 5 is going to become 4. That one that we regrouped is now going to become 21 over 21. 21 over 21 plus 6 over 21 equals 27 over 21. And now we can do this subtraction and say 27 over 21 minus 7 over 21 equals 20 over 21. All right, and then we have 4 minus 4 equals 0, so we know that 20 over 21 is our final answer. All right, moving on to F. And feel free to stop the video, rewind the video, watch any steps over. It may seem like I'm moving fast, but once you understand that if you have a menuend that is less than your subtrahend, you have to regroup from the next place value over. And in this case, the next place value would be our whole number. Remember, fraction is just part of a whole. It's just like a decimal. So we have 8 and 2/3 minus 3 and 5 sevenths. Well, we know that we can't subtract different denominators. So we have to find our common denominator. This is going to be 7 sevenths. 3/3 is going to be over 21. This is 15, and this is 14. All I'm doing to get that number is multiplying across. 2 times 7 is 14. 3 times 7 is 21. 5 times 3 is 15. 7 times 3 is 21. 14 over 21 minus 15 over 21 I cannot do, so I have to regroup. I'm going to take one of my wholes, Instead of having 8 holes, now I have 7 holes. Well, we know that one hole is equal to anything over itself. So I'm going to take that one hole and turn it into a like denominator of 21. What equals 1? 21 over 21. So now add it together. 1 plus 4 is 5. 2 tens plus 1 10 is 3. 35 over 21 minus 15 over 21. And now I know that 5 minus 5 is 0. 3 tens minus 1 10 is 2 tens. I have 20 over 21. Now we have 18 and 3/4 minus 5, 7, 8. Go ahead and do the multiplication. Find our common denominators. We know that this is going to be times 8 eighths. It's going to be times 4 fourths to give us our common denominator of 32. So now we have 24 30-seconds minus 28 30-seconds. We can't do that, so we're going to regroup one of our 18s holes. It's going to become, we're going to have 17 holes. The one that we regroup from our 18 is going to become 32 over 32. We add it together, we get 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 plus 3 is 5 over 32. We're going to subtract 28 over 32 from that. Let's go ahead and write that out. 6 minus 28. 6 minus 8 we cannot do. 16 minus 8 we can do. That's equal to 8. And then we say 4 tens minus 2 tens is 2 tens. We know that our answer is going to be 28 over 32. Now we're not done. We still have 16. Now we're not done. We still have 17 minus 5. 17 minus 5 is equal to 12. 7 minus 5 is 2. 110 minus 0 tens is 110. All right, I'm going to pick up the pace here. 17 and 1/5 minus 2 and 5/8. We know that we need to do our multiplication of our opposite denominator in the form of a whole, 8/8 and 5/5. We're going to multiply across 8. 5 times 8 is 40. 25. 40th. We know we cannot subtract here. Our 17 holes are going to become 16. The one hole that I'm taking, remember, 16 holes plus 40 40ths is still equal to 17 holes, because 40 40ths would be equal to 1. So plus my 40 40ths. The reason why I chose 40 is because that's my unit. Then I have 48 40ths minus 25 40ths. 48, 8 minus 5 is 3. 4 minus 2, 4 tens minus 2 tens is 2. So I know my answer is 23 40ths. 16 minus 2 is 14. I know that's my final answer. Let's get those final answers up top. I didn't write that for my last two. And 14. All right. So we're looking at what Tony wrote. Tony wrote the following. He wrote 7 and 1/4 minus 3 and 3/4 is equal to 4 and 1/4 minus 1/4. Let's go ahead and see if that's the case. Now, we're going to just solve both problems, and it says draw. We want to see if he's correct, and then we're going to draw a number line to support our answer. So we know that here, if we did this problem, we know that we cannot subtract 1/4 minus 3/4. So first of all, let's make sure we had the right problem, and that's key. Copied the problem wrong, so I would have had the wrong answer. So we have 7 and 1/4 minus 3 and 3/4. Our denominators are the same. We don't have to find a common denominator. One whole as 4/4. Now I have 5/4 minus 3/4 equals 2/4. I have 6 minus 3 is 3. So let's see if that's equal to 4 and 1/4 minus 3/4. Same thing. I have 3. Then we have this is equal to 4/4. Remember the one that I regrouped, I'm adding to my fraction because I cannot say 1/4 minus 3/4. So I had to take 4/4. Now I have 5/4 minus 3/4. 5/4 minus 3/4. Now that's equal to 2/4 again. However, I have 2 here And Tony is correct in saying that 7 1/4 minus 3 3/4 is the same thing or equal to 4 1/4 minus 3/4. And we can draw a number line to support that. What Tony did was here he said that 7 minus 3 is equal to 4. So if you subtract 7 minus 3 first, you would have 4 1/4 minus 3/4. So it should come up on our number line the same way. So 7 1/4 would fall on our number line right here. 1, 2, 3. This would be 7 1/4. So now 3 tick marks to give us our fourths. So 7 1/4 minus 3 3/4. So that'll be minus 3 would be 1, 2, 3, and then minus 3/4 would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So that's our 3 2/4, which is also equal to 3 1/2. If we did the same thing here, 4 1/4 minus 3/4. If we started off at 4 1/4, let's just change our color here. Instead of making another number line, I'll just go down at the bottom here. So if we started off at 4 1/4, which will be right here, and we subtracted 3/4. It's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. That would be the same answer, which is 3 2/4 or 3 1/2. All right, let's move on to number 3 here. Mrs. Sanger blends 8 3/4 gallons of iced tea with some lemonade for a picnic. If there were 13 2/5 gallons of the beverage, how many gallons of lemonade did she use? So we know how much iced tea she used, and we're trying to find out how much lemonade she used. So we're going to subtract. This is the total, what we know she used in iced tea, and the difference will be the amount she used of lemonade she used. So we know we're going to just do our times 4/4 to get 20ths, and times 5/5 to get 20ths here. 8. So we have 8 20ths and 15 20ths. We can't subtract that. One of our holes, so now we have 12 holes. The one hole is going to be converted into 20 20ths. Now we have 28 20ths minus 15 20ths. And we're going to say 8 minus 5 is 3. 2 10s minus 1 10 is 1. 13 20ths. 12 minus 8, we have 4. So we have 4 13 20ths. That's our answer. That's how much lemonade she used. Last but not least, the carpenter has 10 1/2 feet of wooden plank. So we know what he started with. We know what he cut off the first time. And we know what he cut off the second time. How much did he have left? So let's see. We have 3 different numbers here. We can't be confused on how to use them. So all we're doing is taking what we started with, then we're going to subtract each of the 2 next numbers as we use it. So first thing he did was replace the slat of wood on the deck, and that was 4 1/4 feet. So let's find out how much he used when it comes to our common denominator. So we know that we're going to multiply. Let's say it's going to be 8 for our common denominator. So we have 4 and 2. So we don't have to regroup because 4/8 is greater than 2/8. So I know I can take 2/8 away. I have 6 2/8 remaining. Now we're going to take that 6 2/8 and subtract another 3 2/3. So now we say, well, this is the second cut that he made. He's cut off 3 2/3 of a foot. 6 24. We have 16 24. So now this is where we have to say, okay, well, this 6 is going to become 5. The one that we regroup is going to become 24 24ths to give us 30 24ths. Now I know the difference here would be 14. If you need to, you can still do our subtraction problem. We'll regroup. 10 minus 6 is 4. 2 10s minus 1 10 is 1. 14 24ths. 5 minus 3 is 2. I know that he used 2 14 24ths of a foot to fix the stairs. Hopefully this was informative. Please make sure that you are trying the problems before you look at the video. At least attempt it. If you don't know how to do the problem at all, you can watch the video and then go back and do the problem. I want you to use this as an aid, not just so that you have all the problems correct when you turn it in. It's more important that you understand how to complete the problems and how to pull the information out of these word problems. Once again, watch another video if you are confused in any concepts. I would also suggest going back to Module 1 and Module 2 and watching some of these videos here and see if you can go through these problems the way we did in class and the way you did on your homework and through your tests and quiz and exit tickets and all of that, just to make sure that you're staying sharp and you don't forget those concepts. We're learning a lot and we don't want to forget something that we mastered previously and we just haven't practiced in a while.